Welcome to our CYB103 Communication Theory and Practice module on branding. Now, the aim of this module is to introduce some of the concepts associated with the practice of branding and creating advertisements around those brands, with the view to providing you with a set of tools, a set of skills that you'll be able to apply in the second assignment. Now, just thinking about where this module fits into the unit overall. So if we go back to the initial aims and objectives and principles of the unit, we spoke that CYB103 is really about three things. So it's about communication in theory, and obviously the past 5 weeks of the unit have really focused on those key elements of semiotic theory, and you've applied those in the first assignment. Now we're moving on to thinking about communication in practice. So how do we take those principles of semiotics and apply them in a professional context before we move on to the third part of the unit and think about some of the broader social and cultural implications of the way the media represents various groups within society. So that's where this module on branding fits into the unit overall. We're looking at an application of semiotic theory in a professional context. The question that we want to address before we move on, of course, is actually get an understanding of what this term branding is. Now, it's a name, an idea, a concept that gets thrown about a lot in media, advertising, public relations, marketing. But let's stop for a moment and think about what the idea actually means. So at its core, the idea of branding is concerned with attaching the best or the intended connotative meanings to a product. So we're interested in relation to semiotics, and we're going to build on this a little later. We're interested in connotative meanings, and we're interested in the ways in which connotative meanings that get attached to a brand, how they help establish the brand's identity or status. So branding is often quite aspirational in the sense that people are hoping to buy into a particular set of values when they purchase a particular product or purchase a particular service. So again, we're going to look at this idea that at the heart of branding, when someone buys a particular brand, they're not necessarily buying the product or the service, although they are literally doing that. But what they're really buying, and where the value lies, both for the consumer and for the company itself, is in the exchange value associated with the connotations of the brand. And we'll develop that in a little more detail quite soon. There is a process of research, design, and manufacturing, which helps support all of those brand values. So one of the central things about branding is that there's nothing really random about the entire brand. The research goes to support the research into people's perception of the brand, goes to support the design and the manufacturing and then the advertising and marketing of the brand. So there's quite a close relationship between all those elements. And in that process, advertising is only one part. Perhaps it's the most significant, but it is only one part of the overall branding process. So the design of the product, the logo, the way it's manufactured, all contribute to the overall brand identity. And that, again, that's something that we're going to consider in this module. This quote from the book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding, I think is a really interesting one and really nails the essence of branding. So from a business point of view, branding in the marketplace is very similar to branding on the ranch or the farm. A branding program should be designed to differentiate your cow or your product from all the other cattle on the range, even if the cattle or the product all look pretty much alike. So when we're dealing with products in a range, all of which, may perform the same set of functions, branding is used to distinguish one product from another, not necessarily according to what it does, but how it can make you feel, how it can make you look in the eyes of other people. Let's have a look at an example of this. These are two Louis Vuitton handbags. Now, of course, the one on your left is a real Louis Vuitton handbag, and the one on the right is a Louis Vuitton handbag that someone's created themselves. Now, they both do the same thing. They both hold stuff. They both hold your purse, your sunglasses, your phone, whatever. So functionally, that they are absolutely identical. In terms of the name that is written on them, they are also identical. The bag on the right is very clearly a Louis Vuitton handbag, and the bag on the left, your left, is very clearly a Louis Vuitton handbag, and the bag on the right is also very clearly a Louis Vuitton handbag because it tells us it's written there. However, we know that in terms of monetary value and also social and cultural capital, the bag on the left is much more valuable than the bag on the right. That's not only because the bag on the right is probably made of canvas or something like that, and the bag on the left is made of leather, but also because of the branding. The bag on the left is an authentic Louis Vuitton handbag. We know that, and that carries a series of connotations, or a set of connotations, that signify class, style, wealth, and glamour. Whereas the bag on the right perhaps has connotations which are the exact opposite of all of those.